shit out of me.
What happened?
You popped so loud, I thought there was like someone on the road.
Pinball!
Pinball, pinball, pinball.
For the past few months, I've been obsessed with pinball. The game has been around for almost 100 years and has had quite a few dips and booms, but we're living through its latest resurgence. If you go to any bar or arcade, you'll probably see a wall of machines in the back, but have you taken a closer look? They're a lot more advanced than you'd expect. Current machines have massive LCDs, Stern games have apps and achievements, and if you look at Pinball Map, you're likely to see dozens of locations you can visit, all ranging from vintage to the latest machines. But what's the magic of pinball? What drives people to it? Like any hobby, there's so many fun layers to uncover, and I've been diving in deep to report on the latest pinball boom. I've talked to all kinds of experts, game critics, operators, legendary designers, marketing directors, and one of my closest friends, Jared Thorbahn of Cheap Ass Gamer. Jared, how should we open up this documentary? How should we start it?
You should probably talk about how I would always bother you about pinball. And then finally Pokemon Pinball came out, and you're like, oh, Pokemon Pinball, that's cool. All right, let's check this out. And then Frank got really into pinball after he started playing Pokemon Pinball.
Jared's right. I was dismissive of pinball for most of my life, but as soon as I found out Nintendo licensed Pokemon to Stern, thus making an official anime pinball game, I had to experience it myself. Instead of catching Pokemania, I've set out to become a pinball master. My research is endless. I've read books, studied films that inspired the games, traveled all over Southern California, the Las Vegas Pinball Museum, and collaborated with Jared in Austin, Texas to provide coverage of hundreds of machines. But to get started, I asked everybody, why do you like pinball?
I've always loved pinball. The first memory I have of going to an arcade and playing video games at all is playing the Space Invaders pinball machine. Like any kid, I couldn't hit the flippers separately. I had to hit them both at the same time and all of that. But my father and I always went to arcades, every weekend, every other weekend. And the one we went to the most had a really big pinball section. I just got hooked on it. This was, in the mid 80s. And so they had a lot of like late 70s stuff all the way up to current machines. It was just a great time. Pinball is just, I don't know, the mechanics of it, seeing the intricacies of how all the ramps flow together, and all of that has always just been so fascinating to me that I've always loved pinball.
I'm Steve Ritchie, and I make pinball machines. I love pinball, it's in my blood. My father first took me to play pinball machines when I was 5 years old. It was weird too, it was like wood rails. I'm old, I'm 76. So it's like wood rail games bolted in the back to a shelf that you could not move one bit. But I didn't know that I wanted to then, and there were no flippers on them anyway. That was my first time, and I grew up, my parents belonged to a bowling league. I was once a week at a bowling alley, and they'd give me some money, and I would try to make it last as long as I could. And when I was in 8th grade, my teacher said that I was gonna grow up to be a mad scientist in a toy factory. And that's pretty much it.
I think pinball is still so important to me because it's like one of the last things that is still a real life, kinetic, actual physical objects are moving and doing things, sort of like tangible piece of hardware that's still around. I was always like very obsessed with Rube Goldberg growing up, and I think the sort of like levers and pulleys and rails and sort of roller coaster of a marble. It's always like super soothing to me and interesting, and I just am addicted to that aesthetic, and I just love it so much. It's just incredibly intricate, it's like flawed and it's real and it's heavy and there's just weight to it. I think it's kind of the reason I love hockey so much too, because it's sort of just like chaos. I just will never stop playing pinball.
Pinball is, I would say, like a non-patternistic, perfect blend between electronic and mechanical. I mean, you mesh that and you have a game. It's hard to match it with anything else, aside from all the obvious stuff. You like all the shiny, you like all the properties, the titles, the themes, the characters, the flow of the gameplay. So, ball it all into one, and that's why I love pinball. Started playing when I was in the teens and was pretty much hooked. I'd be in arcades whenever I wasn't doing other incredulous things or whatever. So I actually saw a lot of the pinball designers' work not knowing who they were, because when you're a kid, you don't know the names of the designers or even care about any of that stuff. But I played some of the famous pinball designs when they first rolled out, which would be your early solid state, so 1978, around the first solid state after the electromechanicals. So I was already playing hooky and going to the arcade pretty young. So
One of the reasons I like pinball is the ability to play with 4 players, take turns. It's a much more social game. I really like it. There's all the emotions like in one game, angry, sad, happy. Sometimes it's frustrating. Eventually everybody loses the game and you sink another buck in and go again. Yeah, just that repeatability of like being sucked into certain games is like very cool to me and something I've enjoyed most of my life.
I like pinball for 4 reasons. To play pinball, I have to get out of my house. That's an important one. I work from home, so then when it's like, oh, I get to go play pinball, I'll go play pinball, and then you're out of the house. Number 2 is pinball is really cheap. People don't understand how expensive pinball tables are. Cheapest is usually around $7,000, and most expensive is $15,000. That's a lot of money. You can go play the pinball for $1. You can get 3 plays for $2. And then if you're really good at when you're playing it, you get a replay. You get another credit to play the game again. And then at the end of the pinball, it does a match, and you have a 1 in 10 chance of playing the game again. No other medium in like entertainment where you go out and play something does that. It's just pinball. Third reason is it's not a screen. I don't think people realize how often we stare at screens every day. I work on a computer, so I'm staring at it all day. I want to see something physical that's in front of me that mechanically moves and everything like that. I like the toys in the pinball. Godzilla, when like the building goes down and then you gotta physically lock 3 balls and then it does a Godzilla multi-ball. There's just a million examples of that.
It is the feeling of control. It's not just the feeling. I mean, you could control a pinball machine if you have the skills. And when people learn they can do that, and it isn't some sort of canned system, I mean, it's up to you how you capture the ball. There's so many nuances of handling a ball on a flipper. I mean, whoa, is the ball spinning? Which way is it going? How am I going to get it to be in this point and then press the button? Okay, it's like all those things are like, they draw you in, they're physical, it's totally tactile.
Now, Steve Ritchie is one of the most famous pinball designers of all time, whose games include Black Knight 2000, High Speed, F-14 Tomcat, Star Trek Next Generation, and now Sonic the Hedgehog in 2026. His games are characterized by an incredible sense of speed and smooth gameplay known as flow, but how does he define it?
Flow is smooth ball action. You shoot a shot, it brings you to a flipper, you can flip again. I try to put together nice feeling combos that people can make. It's also about graphics and entertainment going on in the whole game. I mean, it's when you have something smooth and entertaining, it's fun. For me, it's like I used to hate a lot of games where you'd make a shot and there wouldn't be any flow at all. It would just, go up somebody's ball guide. They didn't think about maybe what happens when it comes back down or where it went after with the ball guide. I don't know. It wasn't there for me.
Yeah, I think like I've gotten to the point now where I know what I'm doing in a way that like surprises people when they watch me play. I can kind of like move the ball from one flipper to the other and kind of just juggle. And I think in pinball, when you demonstrate a ton of patience, when you like let the ball do what you know it's going to do, because you've seen it do the same thing so many times, the way it reacts hitting one flipper and organically popping over to the other, there's a chaos that I just kind of like understand and kind of get about pinball. That it's a weird thing. It's like so loud. If you ever see pinball with the glass off, it's like the loudest fucking thing in the world.
Where's the money?
There's nothing like it, man.
Now, before we get to the modern state of pinball, we can get everyone up to speed on the different eras. There's old electromechanical machines ranging from the 50s to 70s, long before IP dominated pinball. These have physical scoreboards that flip over, loud bells that chime, and are very basic in gameplay, but the artwork is still charming, and it's a miracle to find one in working condition. The major advancement came in the late 70s with solid-state machines, where computer technology allowed games to be built with circuit boards to handle much more complex operations. The mechanical scorecards were replaced with digital displays, and this rolled into the big arcade boom of the 80s where tons of classic games emerged, and of course many designed by Steve Ritchie. I asked how did the new displays evolve the gameplay?
That's a really important thing. There was a desire to communicate more information to the player. and it came about on high speed. It wasn't a dot matrix. This was an alphanumeric display. The score displays could spell out words. From that game on, we continued to do them. There was a little bit of pushback from management and some people in the company called high speed, high cost, because it was more expensive. It was, but we got a better buck for the machines also. So, and we sold like 18,500 or something. It was a big number. Anyway, that was the beginning of the evolution of visual communication.
The next major advancement came in the early 90s, where the back box evolved with dot matrix displays. From that point on, most games made are based on famous film franchises or other pop culture IP. Ball save was also standardized, and the games became a lot more friendlier to play.
A really important thing. From there, it went to dot matrix. I was the first guy. I sucked up that as soon as I could get it, but then they decided to use it in Gilligan's Island first before Terminator 2. But that's okay with me. I didn't mind. The act of transmitting information through visuals and instantaneous recognition is an awesome thing. And now people just take it for granted. What do I have to do next? Well, you had to figure out what you had to do next, because you didn't know, because there wasn't anything. You could read the scorecard, but they were always written as cryptic as possible. One of the reasons they were cryptic is because a scorecard has a limited size. And you can't put everything on there, no matter how hard you try. So you try to get the gist of what you should do, and then talk to a whole bunch of people that already play the game and know the rules.
But then things stagnated a bit, and by the early 2000s, the pinball market was nearly dead.
Which I'm tired of, this cycle where pinball just almost dies. And sometimes it does. It died at Williams. Oh my God. It almost died at Stern.
I love that anyone is still making pinball machines. It felt like that just was gone for a while. You know, arcades themselves largely went away. You know, we kind of had the 80s boom around Pac-Man and the fallout from that. And as that fell off in the mid 80s, you know, it took fighting games to bring people back. And you always had pinball machines through that whole era. I mean, there's some great tables. I mean, you get into like Addams Family and, you know, Medieval Madness and some of the other stuff that came out all through there. But it felt like people just weren't seeing that stuff as often then as they were, you know, 10 years ago.
Pinball today is a lot more popular. Basically in the early 2000s, like regular arcades were dying off. The graphics between an arcade game and something you played at home were pretty much the same level. And because of that, pinball kind of got hit in the shrapnel. So between like 2000 and I want to say like 2013, Stern was the only company creating pinball tables at the time. When you are a monopoly, you basically get complacent and you don't really innovate too much. Jersey Jack showed up in like 2013 or 2014 with Wizard of Oz. Stern finally got competition, and then a bunch of like smaller places like Spooky Pinball showed up. There's this company that makes a pinball machine where you can change out the guts of it, and so they made like Portal Pinball and like Princess Bride Pinball and a bunch of other stuff.
There's been dips. I would say pinball's kind of been in the back shadow, more hobbyist for years until probably, I'm gonna say before COVID, like with competitive pinball, which kind of rose to somewhat of the surface. That along with a lot of social media, as social media grew, I think pinball popularity grew. For example, I registered with an International Flipper Pinball Association site with a certain number, and I think that number of registered players has gone from, let's just say 80,000 to 220,000 just on that site. The way pinball manufacturers are going these days, a lot of the games are being made with the consumer in mind, is growing the popularity of pinball. I think the quality of the games and some of the properties of the games, the intellectual properties, have really had a lot to do with increasing the popularity. Gameplay is exciting, and like I said, a lot more people, I think, are getting into the perfect mix of electronics with mechanical, something you can really feel that's kind of visceral and just, you know, It's like there's a whole world underneath the glass there, and it's really cool. You can get lost in it, you know what I mean?
You know, I think like COVID changed a lot of how people think about it. Home ownership has like skyrocketed since COVID, and I think that kind of changed the dynamic of like people's sort of personal relationship with it, and also the idea of like the pinball bars and like all you can play arcades. Pinball has a really unique kind of home, in those types of places. And I think streaming has changed the game too. I think the sort of like online community of it all sort of found like a home in a way that just wasn't really there 15, even 20 years ago. You know, a lot of games are connected to the internet now. There's score sharing and leaderboards, and I think it took a while, but I think pinball is staying present in a way that's sort of unexpected. And obviously the games have been innovating now in a really, really revolutionary way for, you know, the past decade or so, where the technology is increasing, the gadgets and the toys in the games are just becoming so over the top. And I'm always fascinated with, like, you only have like so much volume in the sort of box of a pinball table, and the sort of physical space that it occupies. You can only do so much with it, and there's only so much physics will allow. And the amount of creativity that is coming out there, and the use of the space and the volume and that like cubic area that you have, is kind of unbelievable.
They have giant LCD screens and immersive lighting and things like that make it into the modern era. And because it caught up to the modern era, it's getting a lot more popular.
The fancier these machines get, the crazier it is. Like sometimes watching some of these that have like full screens on them and full color displays and everything, it almost feels like a little something is lost. Like there's a little bit less action on the play field because they just convey it all to you on a screen now. And maybe that's very old man of me, but I think that's kind of my feeling on modern pinball. It's great that they're doing it, but none of these machines are better than F14 Tomcat. None of them are Black Knight.
Every time I meet somebody, it's like, what's your favorite pinball? And I have quite a few, but my go-to, like, I'm a Black Knight sort of rage guy, because I like the Anthrax music, I like the fast play, I like Steve Ritchie's playfield design, maybe John Wick. The Metallica Remastered is awesome. So a lot of the modern games I'm leaning towards. I do have one pinball machine from the Dot Matrix era, which is the Creature from the Black Lagoon, which has some sentimental value, as well as the gameplay is fantastic on it. So even over Indiana Jones or Twilight Zone or any of those big titles. In the solid state era, Stern Meteor, which is 1979, early solid state, but what a simplistic yet amazing playfield layout on that one. And then back to the electromechanicals, probably Jungle Queen, 1978 Gottlieb pin. I have one that's so fast playing, and it's from 1978, which is a great year and makes it almost, what, 50 years old?
Agent 001.
My favorite machine is F14 Tomcat, right there with like high speed. I always like Bonsai Run because you could knock the ball up into the back glass and play up there. That was always like a really cool gimmick. But F14 Tomcat is probably, yeah, that's the one. My father got a pinball machine for free. Someone just brought it to him. He had a habit of finding stuff. And it was an Earthshaker machine that had come out of a tattoo parlor. And it sat in the front window, and so all of the plastics were warped on it. I was able to kind of break a post and move it so like it was able to run down the ramp. I bribed a guy to come kind of service it. He got it working, and then immediately all of the back glass lights stopped working. And I realized I was completely in over my head and could not repair this. Played a lot of it. Earthshaker is not my favorite game. It just kind of fell into my lap, and I eventually traded it for a Smash TV cabinet, which I still have.
I only have four pinball machines in my house. The one I play most is Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, which is an EM game. You know, electromechanical. I play it most because it's in my basement, because my basement is too low to have toppers. Up in my living room, I have a totally restored F14 Tomcat. Every time I look at the playfield, I go, where the hell did you come up with that? I was frustrated about not being able to get a Top Gun license. There was a profuse use of wire ramps. It's a very important game to me. It's also, do you know who Ed Boon is? It was Ed's first ever coin-operated game experience. He was fresh out of college, extremely bright, fun to work with. He's crazy. He was crazy then, he's crazy now. Anyway, it was a great team, great fun, and we sold a lot of them.
I think my favorite pinball machine of all time is probably Addams Family. That's like the best-selling game of all time. There's just something about it. I think part of it is like growing up in the 90s and being exposed to that movie and just falling in love with it. It's such a great inclusion of a theme. It's got flow, it's got innovation, it's got stuff that no one was really like doing until that kind of came on the scene. Yeah, I really like a game called Circus Voltaire. It's sort of rare. There's like a big neon light flowing through the playfield. It's a really strange looking game, but really good. Stern's Deadpool's amazing. Jurassic Park. I'm a huge fan of that new King Kong table. I think that's like tremendous. Cactus Canyon is another one that I'm like super into. We don't have enough time to list all the ones that I would probably put on this favorite, of all time.
Funhouse is an awesome game. It's really charming and cool because it's this little dummy, and he's like, "Hey, what you up to, Doc?" The little Easter egg fact I love is the voice is Ed Boon, the creator of Mortal Kombat. It's this little dummy, and then like you're trying to get the clock all the way to midnight, and then once you get to midnight, Rudy, the dummy, he goes to sleep and he closes his eyes and goes, and he sleeps with his mouth open. Is you shoot the pinball table in his mouth, and then it starts the multi-ball, and then you go crazy with the multi-ball, and then that's kind of it. It's a really cool story to a pinball machine, and it's a great mechanic. Black Knight 2000 is an amazing machine just because of the song. When you're cooking in that game, the song like starts up. Pretty amazing. Godzilla is an amazing machine. There's just so many little mechanics and goals to get.
The number one pinball machine over these years has been Godzilla, the Keith Elwin design. And I would think for an all-time, certainly Godzilla can be in that conversation for years to come.
Evil Dead is a pinball machine I think a lot of people slept on. It's made by Spooky Pinball, and they made 888 of them. I hope they make more so more people can play it because it's a really great machine. Oh yeah, Bone Busters. Bone Busters is a pretty funny one because it's a ripoff of Ghostbusters, but instead of hunting ghosts, they hunt bones. They hunt skeletons. I don't understand it. It's pretty funny though. Instead of going like Ghostbusters, it'd be like Bone Busters.
Okay, so now we've covered a wide variety of machines and their history, but what if you wanted to get better at pinball?
Most people think pinball is just like, don't let the ball drain. And like, yeah, of course, you don't want to let the ball drain, but there's objectives, there's goals. You have to look at where the game is demonstrating. It's almost like a boss battle where it's like, that part of the, enemy is like an orange glowing bulb. I should shoot that. It's the same thing with pinball. Pinball tells you what to do through visual cues and lights, and that is exactly what you have to do. So even if you're not paying attention to the LCD screen, the game's going to tell you what to do. I think people, I don't know, for whatever reason, like no one got the memo. No one was like, I should look at the playfield and see what it's saying to do. The game tells you what to do. It's subtle, and there's a nuance to it, and you have to like really be locked and dialed in. If it's flashing, if it's sort of commanding your attention, odds are you should be shooting at it.
One of the biggest tips that I could give is just to hang in there and hang with it. Pinball can be a game of attrition, whether you're in tournaments, leagues. There's so much opportunity to like learn and get better at pinball through community events like leagues, tournaments. There's a lot of friendly people that know pinball that are really good that you can gain help from. But these are great opportunities to watch good players. So a lot of it is watching, viewing, watching the streams on the internet. But I would say more than anything is like hanging in there, putting the coins in and playing even through the frustration of learning.
Getting better at pinball, some of the quick tips and tricks, try not to flip. Everybody has a tendency as the ball's coming in to automatically slap it back. You want to slow the ball down. We like to practice what's called a dead flip. Let the ball hit the flipper, slow down, bounce to the other side where you could catch it, let it roll, and try to aim your shots. I think that's like step one of how to become a better player. And then getting your tilting and nudging down.
Yeah, you got to bump and nudge. If you're not like practically surfing, if you're not like standing on one foot going, lining up your angles and stuff, like, are you even playing the game? Like, it's all part of it. It's a very erotic experience. Playing pinball. If you're just standing there hitting the flippers, like I feel like you're missing like at least half the game.
It's a topic that comes off as controversial, but for whatever reason, people think you're somehow cheating.
I say this often, a pinball machine is a percussion instrument. And for me, it often is. I do slap saves, and I do that a lot.
Think about what's going on inside of a pinball machine. You have a ball bearing that is kicking the shit out of a bunch of circuitry and plastic and metal and wood. Like, this thing is built for that. You can impact the path of a ball.
Nudging is part of the game. Back in the day, there were slam tilt settings where you lost the whole game. Nowadays, the tilt bob, which still works the same. It's a bob around a metal stick surrounded by a metal ring. It taps twice, you get a danger, double danger. Third time your ball ends, it goes to the next player or the next ball. You get these opportunities where the ball rattles up on the rubber band or a pin on the out lane, and you just try to slap it a certain way to get it to spin back into the in lane, keep your ball going, keep a multi-ball going.
The best players in the world, they all nudge. There's no one who does not nudge. If you're not nudging, you're not playing.
Another tip is if you want to get good at pinball, go to the free play areas. That way you won't feel like crap when like you lose a game in 2 minutes because you suck. Like I sucked once. It's fine. The only problem with the free play area is the machines get beaten to crap. There will just be some little thing that's annoying, or the balls get stuck in the plunger.
Where in a free play situation, a lot of times it's somebody at the door, they collect, you go in, you play, and then nobody really cares. We check out and try to maintain, look for rubbers that are broken, breaking, try to fix little maintenance issues before they become an issue. Our place, the machines are in really nice shape because people respect them. They come here. We've never operated on a free play opportunity because it's not the way we're set up. And I do believe when people do a coin drop, they take some responsibility for the machine. And I don't know of any arcade where you can do coin drop that has a bigger selection than we do in our showroom. I think at any given day, we're boasting 55 to 65 pinball machines on coin play from each of the different generations and eras, open Monday through Friday, 12 to 9 p.m.
Now, if you're ready to start your pinball journey, you'll want to download the free Stern app so you can start tracking your scores and achievements on all Stern games.
We've got Insider Connected, which is our pinball cloud for not only the games themselves, for code updates and connecting to this leaderboard that I have next to me, but also for players to be engaged with the game, with achievements, with badges, tracking their progress. It's not just a 3-ball game anymore. It's just a much more of a extended playing experience.
The big enchilada is the achievements. It makes the games a lot more fun because regular pinball is you play the pinball game, you get a high score, and that's kind of it. Whereas like with these achievements, you're trying to like get new things added. I can play a pinball table 100 times and try to get an achievement for a specific thing. It brings a whole new level to what pinball can be. That's really exciting to me.
You'll also want to download Pinball Map or go to pinballmap.com to find locations near you. It's how I track down so many specific tables, including Steve Ritchie's F-14 Tomcat, located at the Co-op Pinball Arcade in Escondido, and even his newest game, Sonic the Hedgehog, up in Van Nuys. I asked how the project came to be.
Sonic is cool. Jack acquired the license quite a while ago. I don't know exactly when. And he said, how about Sonic? And I go, oh no, I don't wanna. I didn't wanna. Little characters and flowers and stuff on my game. A long time ago I said, I don't do cute, but I do now and I like it. The whole thing grew on me. I learned a lot from other team members. Taylor Snyder, a young programmer that we have here, he's in love with Sonic. And so he sort of led us down the path and told us all the little things we needed to know. Once it's embodied in a pinball machine, it's fun as hell. I mean, a Sonic game has to have a loop-de-loop. It has to. A Sonic game has to be fast, which is right down my alley. I like that a lot. And this is my fastest game. It's colors everywhere you look. And it's like, we have all these inserts and we can change our color and do whatever we want. And we make all the right sounds, the voices too.
Let's play some pinball.
They're the original voice actors. It's awesome. We have 6,000 speech calls. Sonic has an attitude. He celebrates himself too, especially during victory. And that's a nice thing. I like his personality, I just do. I gotta tell you this though, there is a point where the wise guy coders, okay, while you're battling Dr. Eggman, it says, finish him. In the text on the screen.
While we're on the subject of adapting famous games into pinball, I asked Steve if there was ever a chance of getting Mortal Kombat, since he's the original voice of Shao Kahn and MK2's announcer.
There's been talk. Sonic is really easy to emulate in a pinball machine. A fighting game is more difficult. Where's the action? I do know Mortal Kombat very well. I'm really not a player. The principle of what you're supposed to do and what you have to do, and moves you have to learn how to make and all that stuff. That's all cool, but I haven't really thought about how I could make that fun to play in a pinball machine. Sonic is the perfect video game theme for pinball because the ball's rolling. I mean, he's a blue ball. Fast moving, exciting. It's not to say that I would never do one. I'm still friends with Ed Boon. You know, we might talk about it sometime. You know, I love doing the voice. It was fun.
You weak, pathetic fool.
So now we're up to date on pinball. Leading companies like Stern and Jersey Jack are filling arcades with incredible new machines. The online community is keeping up to date on pinballmap.com. Even in my research, I found out Japan has the Silver Ball Planet in Osaka that I'm planning to visit on my next trip. There's also a monthly collective in Hanyu called Heavenly that I'd love to see. In other parts of the world, my mom visited the Pinball Museum in Moscow, Russia. My friend Kiddis in Wales hunted down James Bond in Cardiff. And Rocco from Mega 64 got me footage of the Soul pinball machine in Disneyland, Indiana Jones and the Pinball Adventure. But if you're at home and itching to play immediately, a great solution is Pinball FX, available on consoles and Steam. This is a platform with original and licensed games that are emulated with great physics, and they're awesome for practicing. I've spent countless nights trying to level up my Dude Meter in Dr. Dude and hope to try the real thing one day.
Pinball is here to stay, I guess, as long as we keep going outside, as long as we're still allowed to go to bars and see stuff. I think, there's always going to be room for pinball. I love that there are companies still doing it, but none of these games are F-14 top yet.
Steve, that was so awesome. Thank you so much. It seriously is an honor.
Hey, I had fun too, and I say thanks.
Pinball, the final frontier. These are the worlds under glass. Your mission? To make your balls last as long as possible before getting drained. And if your balls get stuck, just a little shake from side to side will do. This is Frank Howley. Thanks for watching.